It's about a minute after, still waiting on our attorney and Commissioner Strickland, but I think we're probably going to go ahead and press. We've got a quorum. We'll go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order, and in a minute we'll have a pledge to our flag, and have a moment of prayer. And I'd ask if you got a phone, if you check it, please, to vibrate or silent, whatever your preference is. And with that, if you would, go ahead and stand with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight asking for guidance, wisdom. Lord, may our efforts be on point and let them be pleasing to you. I pray a special blessing for the folks in Madison County, that you'll continue blessing our county and be with those in time of need. Watch over us as we depart from here. Give us a safe traveling mercies as we leave. We'll thank you for everything. We ask it in your name. Amen. Amen.
You have the time about the sheriff. Did you get that?
I got it, William.
Yeah, the lady coming along.
All right, our first order of business will approve the minutes from January 7th. When you're ready, we'll take a motion on that.
Motion to approve, Chairman.
Motion to approve. Second. And a second. Any comments or discussion on those minutes?
I had one question.
Please.
Chairman. Under item 12, the road updates, you had the last one, Oakland Mill Road. I couldn't remember if that was actually work going on or if that was a comment from our visitor that just inquired about it.
It was a comment from a lady that lived on that road, and she was concerned about it. So
it said it was work was being done on it, so
right.
Clarify that.
Right, and there's ongoing work. That one is down. If you remember, that has the water that crosses the road, and it is particularly challenging when it's raining. So. All right. Any other comments, questions? Seeing none, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
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 All right. All righty. This evening we have a guest, Ms. Jennifer Ivey of the library. If you'd like to come on up, Jennifer, please, let us know what's going on down there.
Thank you for putting me on the agenda for tonight, and welcome to our Board of Commissioners. I've got a copy of my board report and the February calendar for all of y'all, so I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'll just hit the high points. This is for the fourth quarter of 2018. The statistics, the patron visits, questions answered, and library cards issued are all up from the same quarter of 2017. The library cards in particular are up 40%. So people are definitely using the library, and we see that, we feel it in our day-to-day routine. Which is a good thing. I think this says that people value having a library card and that using the library is seen as an asset by our community. Our adult programming highlights, we had 61 programs with 574 in attendance. We had 2 author visits, a musical concert, the Veterans Day Tea, which is pictured on the bottom of the page there. In December, 2 of our part-time staff, Ashley Graham and Leslie Hardiman, led a Christmas Carol sing-along at the Senior Center. And they had time of their lives. And I think the Senior Center patrons enjoyed that as well, so we definitely plan to do that again. Also in December, we had a food drive for the Madison County Food Bank, which we do every year, and our patrons donated 71 items that we took over for that. And upcoming adult programs, this is on your February calendar. Saturday, the 23rd, is a printmaking workshop with Nan Dembski. This is part of the Vibrant Communities grant that we apply for every year from the Georgia Council for the Arts. So that provides arts programming that we wouldn't otherwise be able to afford. The printmaking is like a Japanese art form where they're going to carve out their wood blocks and then print onto the canvas or fabric. and that is actually open. We have slots available in that. If anybody's interested, and to get that grant, we have to have a matching funding source, and our matching funding source has consistently been the Friends, the Madison County Library. If any of those were here, they would get on to me for not telling y'all it's time to renew if you haven't. So, Friends membership's $10 a year, so that, and all that money comes back into the library and programs and books. So, on the next page, our youth programming highlights. We had 90 programs with 1,821 in attendance. 48 of those programs are done as outreach at schools, Head Start, churches, and other daycare centers. So about half of our children's programs are done outside the building. The trick-or-treating is pictured. You see a young Spider-Man getting his candy on Halloween. Our biggest event last quarter was a Santa visit. We had over 100 people here to get their pictures made with Santa. We had crafts, snacks, and children's author Elaine Rogers was there with her Christmas book she had written. The programs in this report, a lot of them are not possible with our partners, so I just want to mention some of those from last quarter was the Madison Oglethorpe Animal Shelter, the Whole Sanford Fire Station, our Reach Rover therapy dog trainer, Cynthia Eden. She comes once a month with certified therapy dogs for beginning readers to practice their skills, and the Red Cross. Right now in the library, we have an art exhibit from Georgia Artists with Disabilities. If you read the paper a couple weeks ago, Zach did a great job with the pictures from the opening reception. That is sponsored by the Pilot Club, and the exhibit is in the library through February. So if you have time to come get that, it's probably the biggest art exhibit that we've had in the library in my memory. I want to mention staff training because we had a lot of that last quarter, mostly because Athens held their staff development day, which we do every year, and we have the whole day off from our libraries, and we go to their library and learn stuff. So that was good. On the very last page, I have a thing that Jubilee Partners sent me, thanking us for the partnership that we have with Zoo Atlanta for the zoo tickets. If you're not familiar with that, the Zoo Atlanta provides each library with a DVD of the history of the Atlanta Zoo, and when you check it out and turn it back in, you get 4 vouchers to attend the zoo for free, and each family can do that once a year. There's lots of different families at Jubilee, so they managed to work it out so they could all go together, and they wanted to thank us for that. I'm going to end with just one story. We had a patron call on the phone, and Leslie got this call, and the lady asked if we repaired books. And we do repair our books, but we don't repair books for the general public. So Leslie stayed on the phone with her and asked her some questions, and was looking up places on the internet, hoping to find something nearby. Of course, Atlanta's as close as we could get. She gave her a few numbers to choose from and got off the phone, and about 20 minutes later, the lady called back and said that one of those numbers had worked out and that her heirloom family Bible was going to be restored, and she just wanted to thank us for providing that resource. And that's what libraries do. We're here to provide resources. If we don't have the resources, then we can direct you to the appropriate place. And libraries are all about information services, and that's just what we're here for. So does anyone have any questions about our report or anything else?
Thank you again.
Very good.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Real quickly, I just have a couple items, kind of updates. For those that may not be aware, this Thursday, January 31st, is, Michelle Strickland, our Clerk Superior Court, will be retiring. And I'd ask that any of you are able or willing or desirous of offering words of encouragement or congratulations. I'm sure she'd appreciate that. Again, that's Thursday the 31st. She steps down after, I'm not even sure the exact number, 34? Yeah, I think she's been with the county 40 years. So, as clerk, though, I think it's 34. Let's see, we're currently, this is mainly commissioners here, but we have a report to EPD that's due out February 15th, and we're working with the BOC LLC to complete that. We should be able to get that out on time. And then the projects that are probably the most important or certainly significant to the county and the funding on our horizon, we have our service delivery strategy. Both the counties and all 6 cities have a requirement to update that, and this is the agreement between the county and the cities for various services. We'll update that. That's due by June. And then, we have, we'll be discussing potential SPLOST referendum on our next, ballot. And actually, we would be targeting or trying to get that in by November of this year, get it on that ballot, so that, if it's, voted and approved, then, we could, collect that, as a county, pretty much on the heels of the one that expires June of 2020. And as a public service announcement, if any of you haven't looked at the weather, probably would be a good time to look at it for tomorrow. I don't personally think it's going to be quite as bad here, but if you're on the road anywhere west of here, it might be a concern. All right, statements and remarks on. We have 3 items here, items 5, 6, and 7. If you'd like to make a comment or remark on that at this time, and I'd ask that we keep those, we're going to try to adhere to a little bit of a time limit. It's about 3 minutes on these remarks. So anybody that has a comment or a statement they'd like to make on items number 5 through 7. All right. Item number 5, we got our Tax Commissioner Lamar Dalton. If you want to come up and present the parcels for the insolvent list.
I will. We've done this every year since I took office. If y'all remember, those first lists had a couple $100,000 on them, you know, just stuff hadn't been done in the past. Most of what you see here, those original 22 parcels that we started with that came up for tax sale and came up couldn't sell. We pared it down to basically what you see here minus the boat. What these parcels are is the 8th year by Georgia code. I can only pursue taxes 7 years back. So these parcels here are that 8th year. That's all we have left for the 2010 digest. Okay? And I have to present it to the Board of Commissioners every year before I do the insolvent and pull it off of that digest. Now, after I presented this list to you, I took on myself to take the chief appraiser out and show them every one of these parcels. They're sitting on the books now at an extremely nominal value. Most of them are ditches, gullies, you know, there's some contiguous stuff, but it's not a buildable parcel in any of these with the exception of probably the 0022, 005. And I've got an adjacent property owner who swears he's going to be at the next tax sale, and that one will come off the books right there. So next year's value on these 7 or 8 parcels is somewhere in the neighborhood of $1,685 total. Okay, I couldn't remove them this year because I'd already presented the insolvent list. 2 of them's in your district. The rest down on Bedford. One of the ladies adjacent to it told me she would be interested. You know, so we may lose a couple off this list. But all I need is y'all's permission to do the insolvency on these right here and remove them from the digest.
Lamar, what's the total? Is that the total due? Is that what comes off?
Yeah, total due $68,1572 is what's on the books right now. That's less AMS's collection fees. There's 5A fees, interest and penalties. And for whatever reason, Derek had sent me an email asking the question, and the only way I can explain it is prior to I went in office, I don't know who did what or how it was done. Some of them showed different fees. There was a different provider for tax sale, so some of those fees are going to be different. A lot of them show the same interest or the same penalties. So it's going to be sort of odd until we get up to the 14 stuff, which was my first digest. But less AMS waives all their fees if we can't sell it. The impact of the 2010 digest was $4,820.17.
Any other questions for Lamar? And again, Lamar, we're looking for the just a motion to approve.
That's all I need. I just need a motion and acceptance to where I can 72 off of the digest.
All right.
So moved, Chair.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on, this, any further discussion on the list as he's presented it? No. Commissioner Strickland?
Yes,
Yes.
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 All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
I'll need it.
Thanks, Norma.
Our next item is to fill a position, consider Michael Baker for the vacant position on the Board of Assessors. And Ralph, if you would like to come up, please, sir, just share with us what you know and what your recommendation is.
Well, earlier this month, Janice Ellis resigned. Her husband had some pretty major surgery, and so she's basically become a nurse. Ms. Ellis served 9 years as our vice chairman, and as a board, we would like to thank her for her time and service for those 9 years. And we have come up with Michael Baker to replace her. Michael is from Madison County. He's a graduate of Madison County High School. He has a piece of property about 40 acres where he lives, just outside of Danielsville. He owns a business. He has a global business, the engineering and consumer products business, and they have offices here in Georgia and in China. He's had this business since 2001. Michael's also served on the Board of Equalization from May 2009 to October of 2017. So one reason that we picked him is he has a lot of the same training that we do. He'll have to go back and recertify some of this training to be current, but that can be done in the next couple of months. But we'd like to put forth Michael Baker to be a member of the Madison County Board of Tax Assessors.
Okay.
And if y'all have any other questions.
How long does he have to complete?
I think he has a year to complete this, but most of these, the first course is a one week course. It's a 40-hour course, and it's given several times during the year. He'll just have to work out a time where he can go and do that. Other than that, then you have as you serve on there, you have other courses you have to take to keep your accreditation up. But for the first one would be 40 hours, and I think he has a year to complete that.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for,
If y'all have any questions, I'll try to answer those.
When will be the first meeting that he
Well, he could be at our next meeting, which will be in February.
so he doesn't have to wait on this?
No, he doesn't have to wait on certification. See, when we were all appointed back in 2009, none of us had any of the training. We all had to have that training. And I think most of us had it by Christmas of that year. We started in August, and I think by Christmas of that year, we all had gone to the 40-hour course. The Revenue Department has all kind of courses for tax assessors, Board of Equalization, appraisers, all kind of courses, and they have them, and now they have even more than they did back 10 years ago. I mean, you can look them up online. They have courses all the time, and they try to disperse them out throughout the state where it's more convenient for people to go to these courses. But just about any kind of a appraisal course you would want to take, they have it. And like I said, he has already been to, Board of Equalization has a little different courses that they take, but a lot of it's overlapping. So he's already had some of this training. But since he's not served in a year and a half, then he would, I'm sure he's lapsed.
all right. Well, thank you. So we'll entertain a motion to consider Michael Baker for that vacant position on the Board of Assessors.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Michael Baker to the Board of Assessors.
Have a motion to appoint.
I'll second.
All right, I have I got a second twice. And, any further comments or discussion on Michael Baker? All right, with that, Commissioner Bettis?
Yes.
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 All right.
I would actually get that class done as soon as possible.
I'm sure you will. I should have pointed him out here, sorry about that. Good to see you again.
How y'all doing?
All right. Yeah. All right, item number 7, consider resolution relating to state cable and video service franchises. I know I've spoken with several of the commissioners after we received this, and I'll defer to our county attorney for probably an exact clarification if I mess it up too bad. But Windstream is asking to, or they're seeking to expand their franchise. I don't see anything, have any evidence that this is to include video or cable service. However, should they ever do that, Madison County must have on file at the State Department a resolution basically entitling the county to a franchise fee of up to 5% of the annual gross revenues generated by this company. We currently receive this from Charter in Madison County. This is a little bit of house cleaning, but we need to put a resolution in place so that should that become a reality, we will be collecting a franchise fee from Windstream. So that's what this, you each have a copy of the resolution, and I'll look for a motion to consider this resolution relating to state cable and video service franchises.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. He's dragging the deeds in the case.
I would just say that, just so you guys know, because I'm a legislative advocate or whatever, they do have a bill coming out soon. They're talking about this session about a consolidated communications fee for the state, and we would still get, they would collect it and then we would get remitted so much. And so what that is basically they think that the counties would actually get a little bit more because it's a little easier to track, Department of Revenue's involved, that kind of stuff. But just know that this right here is what I feel like we need to do, but going forward there are some bills that might change it to where that act goes away and you have a new bill coming in. So just wanted you guys to know about that.
Good to know. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other comment or any discussion on that? Commissioner Kirk?
Yes.
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 All right, we're on the road updates. Anything we need to relay or any activity that we need to be aware of on past Allen or Derek? Derek one. Urgent matters. All right, folks, statements, remarks from citizens. Again, we'll open the floor. I'd ask if we can just keep these comments or remarks to about 3 minutes. And if you would, before you start, just go ahead and give us a name and address. And we keep that for our minutes and everything. And then lastly, just appreciate it. It's not the commissioners, not necessarily their unwillingness to respond or to interject, but this is really a time for the citizens to make remarks or comments. So I'll open the floor at this time for anybody that'd like to start.
You need my home address?
Or I get yours or your cousin, somebody's, I guess. No, ideally, we do this just so that, you know, it's interesting, and I'm not gonna say we wouldn't allow people from outside the county to come up here and blast away, but I figure if you're a resident here, you deserve that.
My name is Jason Luke. I live at 3700 Comer, Pioli Road, Comer, Georgia.
Thank you.
just for the record, police officers' addresses are exempt from Open Records Act, so we don't necessarily have to make them give their home addresses.
Okay.
Give the sheriff.
I'll forget, I'll mark through it and I'll forget I heard that.
They know where to find
It's a
you.
strict one, never be repeated.
I am and have been a lifelong resident of Madison County.
No.
First of all, I want to thank y'all for letting me address you for just a few minutes. I do want to speak about the vote that took place on January the 7th, which approved raises for 24 county employees. As you can see, there's quite a few people here behind me, and I'd like to speak on their behalf tonight if I could. First of all, I want to say that the recipients of the raises, the people that did get pay increases, are all well deserving. I'm very proud for them and wish them all the best. However, I feel like they're not the only candidates who deserve a pay increase. Through my 17 years at the Sheriff's Office, I've learned that cost of living increases are sometimes the only increase in pay we get. Cost of living increases are it from year to year in our experience here. In 2018, $120,000 was set aside for all the county employees to receive a 2% cost of pay increase, but only 9% of the employees received an increase. I understand that the raises are needed in certain areas to accommodate promotions for salary increases that were much needed, but that still doesn't change the fact that 91% of our county's hardworking employees received nothing. I understand that each employee would only gain a small increase in pay had the raises been handed out to everybody, but some of the more fortunate recipients received over $10,000 a year in at least 3 different cases. Some of the candidates received pay increases for obtaining certifications. While that's an outstanding achievement for those individuals, how many other county employees received pay increases for certifications they've obtained? I've got a room full of people who are very certified here. I'm not saying that we're any different or any better than anybody else. There's 225 people employed by the Madison County government as a whole, and they all work hard. Whether it's weighing vehicles at the landfill, running EMS calls, paying our bills so the county can stay afloat, doing property valuations, fixing leaky sinks, scraping roads, assisting the elderly at the senior center, booking in inmates at our county jail, answering the 911 calls at our dispatch center, probating wills at the probate court, setting bonds at magistrate court, or answering calls for service at the sheriff's office, just to name a few. Every person in each of the 24 departments within this county government is deserving of a show of appreciation for their hard work, dedication, and their loyalty to the citizens of Madison County. Far too often we lose valuable employees to other entities because they can go somewhere else and make more money. It's sad that some of our guys and gals here, they work 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet. If we want to keep these people here, we've got to get the pay up. I understand there's only so much we can do, but a small increase in pay every year eventually is going to add up, and our standard is going to be raised to what's comparable in our surrounding counties. We can retain our citizens who live here and work here because they can afford to stay. Again, I'd just like to thank y'all for allowing me to speak. I'm a realist. I understand nothing magical is going to happen here tonight. But I have one request, and I feel like the people in this room behind me and the ones that couldn't be here tonight, the 91% of the county's employees that did not get a pay increase, we would like to know why we were discounted when it came time to hand out pay increases. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate that.
No response?
I'd be happy to talk to you offline. I don't have any overarching comments for anything you said other than I'd have to go back and look at our 2018 budget I do not believe, as a matter of fact, I'm certain, that a 2% COLA was not, or $120,000 was not set aside as a COLA. It was talked about because the year prior they did issue a COLA. It was not set aside as a cost of living adjustment, and for that reason, it could have been used any way possible, but the discussion at the budget hearings and the budget meetings was to target certain departments. So it was actually made known in a matter of public record right then that we were, the board was going to attempt to bring those that we saw, comparatively speaking, across the board lower than anybody, the neighboring counties. And again, we tried to value the service. It's a bit of a misnomer to say that that we discounted anybody, because that's not the case. If you got a finite amount of money and
Yeah, so there was $120,000 that was spent on 24 people and 220
I've got
people.
28 on my list, but that's close, yeah.
Yes, sir, I'm rounding,
Yeah.
nice even numbers.
No, and that's fine, and I appreciate that. I mean, I knew when the decision was made that this is not, other than for these individuals, it's always gonna feel like you didn't get the consideration or whatever.
Yeah, it feels like we didn't get anything because we didn't get anything.
Yeah. I can share, well, and this is why typically you're never gonna get a commissioner to answer at this point, because I can challenge that within a department, though. If we look at individuals that do receive different raises, and I don't wanna go there. I don't wanna get into that, because there are departments that have received raises well since any of these folks have. But the point is not to leave anybody out. The point is this was the first round. It's not the only round. And I share that with as many people as possible. But the next round, if there's not enough to address everybody, then we go after as many other people as we can to bring them up to a competitive, or at least an amount that you adequately described as trying to keep them in the county. I mean, that's what we want to do. And so it really, the attempt and the direction and the effort was never in the negative way. It was never
Well, I
meant that.
understand
It was just trying to,
and I don't think that.
And you're right, there are some that received more than others because of position changes and things like that. So, and my hope and, our effort should be put on trying to bring more people into that pool. And truthfully, that's, as a board, I'm speaking on behalf, they can speak for themselves, but I know that, I believe it's their intent to try to rectify our entire pay system here. So that's my hope.
Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody else?
Tracy Dean, address is 3669 Highway 98 East, Comer. And like Jason, I appreciate you have given us the opportunity to speak tonight. As most of you all know, I'm the chairperson of the Board of Elections and Registration for Madison County. I'm not here to bash any employee. We're all very important. We all play a vital part in the county. There's no more office or employee that's more important. And I'm here tonight to talk about the recent salary adjustments or pay raises that were made by you all at the last meeting. And I don't mean anything ugly about what I'm fixing to say, but that was a slap in some of our faces. I've been with the county for 29 years. Does that experience that I have had, does that not mean anything to anyone? I'm not the only one that's been here for a long amount of time. But I just have some questions that I'd like to know some answers. And there again, I know the form here is nowhere to answer those questions. But I do have a packet that I do want each of you to take with you tonight and just peruse through if you would. When you were talking about the cost of living, I understood when I presented my budget last year for this year, I had put in there increases in our salaries in my office. Maybe I misunderstood, but I thought I understood it to be said that we would not get raises, but there was a COLA out there that, you were trying to get everybody this, an increase that way, cost of living increase. So I backed off and didn't pursue that any longer. That was my first question, is what happened to that. The second is, how was it determined who would receive these increases, these salary adjustments? There again, I know that all of our positions are very important in the county. This is one other thing that has bothered me over the years. And I know we have elected officials, constitutional officers. We always hear the thing that, they can get whatever they want, they do whatever they want. But when it comes to the point of salaries for our offices, is there not anything that can be done? Because you have several out there that are continuing to give increases for their employees. If they have an employee to leave, they may fill that position, they may not, but they'll take that salary and split it between the ones within those offices. And I have heard many times where they can do that because they're a constitutional officer. And it's not fair to the rest of us. And I know there's things that y'all have control over, things you do not have control over, and that's one of them. But it's just not fair to us to keep doing that. My position as the chairperson for the Board of Elections and Registration, I'm appointed, as all of you know, recommended by the grand jury, appointed by the Superior Court judge. When we became a board in 2014, the way legislation was drawn up, that was how it was drawn up, that I would be appointed. At the administration, the BOC at that time, when I would ask, well, who do I go to for increases in my salary or my staff? And I was told at that time that my position, because of the uniqueness of it, the way I'm appointed, that I am sort of like an elected official. I don't run for office, but I'm appointed, so therefore I should get the same things as an elected official. But that's not happened. And I understand these people that get out and run for office, that's, they put a lot of money into that, and I understand that. But I just don't understand why we haven't received those salary adjustments as others, they have gotten them for their office staff. Going to the certified positions, I've always heard, once you get certified, you'll get an increase in your pay. That is not the case in my office. In 2004, I started working for the county in 1996. In 2004, I went to a registrar's office, and at that point, I got certified to run an election. And I'm sure Mr. Pruitt can tell you, to run an election, you have to be certified, you have to know all these laws, you have to do all these, you have to take many tests and all that stuff to just, be able to do this. I got certified in 2004 to run city elections and county elections. In 2014, we went to a board. I got the supplement that the probate judge was receiving, which is around $3,000. And don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for that, very thankful for that. But that's the only thing that I received. Since 2014, my salary has increased by 98 cents. I do city elections now, county elections, and that 98 cents is coming from cost of living increases over those few years there. We take on a lot of different hats in our position. Most of you know ethics, and I'm sure you got your email that was sent out, and that has nothing to do, by law, what we have to do. And I'm going to go in, I didn't have this down, but I'm going to explain this. By law, all that my office has to do as far as ethics goes, we are a filing agent. Whatever you bring to us, that's what we file and turn it into the commission in Atlanta. That's our first thing we have to do. The second thing we have to do is if any late filers, if they come in and they're not filing on time, they have to be reported. All the emails that my office has sent out, those are courtesy emails to you all.
We appreciate it. All right.
And that's my whole thing is, I want to do this. We want to do this. But we're not getting compensated for any of it. Everybody else around us is getting compensated for the little extras or whatever that they do. And I just feel that our office, has not been. Teresa has been certified since 2014. She has received 61 cents. Cost of living increases as well. She did not get an increase when she became certified to run an election. There are only 2 people in the county to run elections, or certified, and that's me and Teresa. you have to have a certified individual to do these elections. And I'm gonna try to hurry up because I know it's getting time. Other counties, not department heads, are being paid anywhere from $18 to $20 an hour for their certifications or job title changes. So what's the difference? We both have been certified to run our offices, and I'm even considered as a department head, but that doesn't mean anything. And I'd like to ask you, what I'm going to give you tonight is a breakdown of some stats that I've done, but how many of you actually have gotten a statistical breakdown of all the county employees from the last 3 to 5 years to see their years of service, not only under the Board of Commissioners, but all elected officials, their years of service, and the pay increases that they have, you know, from the time they start out, from the time they have, up till today is what they've received. But I've got this all for you now. When I leave, I'll hand it to you, and you can, you know, I've included in that little packet. As most of you have seen, in November 2018, that election was an election unimaginable for anybody. I have never in all my election years seen an election go that way. That is only the tip of the iceberg of what's going to happen in 2020. And we have got to be ready. And I want to have my employees trained and ready to go. I can't offer, they can go to Athens and start off making what I make or more out there. And I know they're larger. You have larger counties, you have smaller counties, but the thing is we all do the same thing. We all run elections. Exactly the same laws and all. But I do want to do this. I do want to encourage each of you at each election. We always have to get ready for elections. More than just, a lot of voters just think, oh, I'm coming in and magically those machines are set up and I can vote for who I want to. That is not the case. There's a lot that goes into preparing for an election. And I invite you, I encourage you, when we start preparing for an election and doing a logic and accuracy testing, please come to my office because I will be more than glad to let you help me lift up those 50 to 70 pound machines. 50, at least 50 that go out on election day. By the time I get on a few more years, my back will probably give out on me. But that's just something that nobody thinks of. Any of this has to be done, but it's got to be done in order for everybody to be elected in the positions that you're in. But there again, I appreciate that, you know, if you come out, sit down, talk with me. You know, if you've got any questions, I'll be more than happy to discuss anything with you. You know, that's how I feel. Like I said, it was very, to see that, reading that in the paper about the raises, the salary adjustments, that hurt. And like I said, I've been with the county for 29 years, and I'm thankful for my job. I count it as a blessing to have worked with the county for 29 years. I hope there's many more years to come that I can, you know, do the work that's here for me to do. It doesn't matter what I get paid, and the same for my office. We took an oath to run these elections for a fair, you know, manner, within the law, and that's what I plan on continuing to do. And I thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is, excuse me, getting up called Mike Bush, and I live at 1805 29 Highway North in Danielsville. I did not realize that I would get the opportunity this evening to say what a great gratitude of thanks we owe to our deputies. Well, those of you who know me know that I policed for over 30 years. I was in Gwinnett County for 29 of those 30 some odd years. And when I first started with Gwinnett County, we all qualified for food stamps. That's how poor the salaries were. So I empathize with our men and women in uniform that perform the service that they do. So I would sing back up for those folks. Secondly, I want to sing back up for Mrs. Dean and her staff. For several election cycles, I've had the honor of serving with a Democrat counterpart by the name of Mr. Byrd, and we would count and check for errors the absentee ballots. I've also served as a poll watcher. I understand what this office means to this county. They perform a fabulous service, and as Mrs. Dean pointed out a few minutes ago, if you think that there was some foolishness going on in Atlanta with our governor's race, God help us what might happen out here in our presidential race in 2020. Our last Republican meeting, we had a lady from Gwinnett County by the name of Alice Olenek, who was being sued along with her compatriots in the Board of Elections office in Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County covers their people for lawsuits up to $1 million. I don't know if that's $1 million a head or $1 million for one case. And that's it, I don't know. However, she has found out that when that $1 million runs out, it's going to cost her about $750 an hour to defend against that. My point is, I hope that our county here has protection for those who serve, not only those who serve for no salary, but those who serve as a volunteer, like myself. I've enjoyed my service and learned a lot, and I found out and asked a lot of questions. There's a lot to that Title 21 code of the elections, and we've had situations where, God help us, you've all seen the news, these judges take our election law and stick it in our ear. The law is the law. There's no hearing. So it affects everybody, Democrat or Republican alike. It doesn't matter. And I would hope that there is some protections for our staff in the Board of Elections office in case this kind of foolishness happens in Madison County, because we are told that it was the rural counties that made it possible for our current governor to get over that hump because of the heavy blue area. And just like we want to keep Georgia red, the other side wants to turn it blue. So I think it would be helpful for, if nothing more than the morale of our folks who work in the Board of Elections office, if some raises for their efforts could be forthcoming. And I know you folks can do it. You found money for other areas, and I will say the same thing that the other two folks had mentioned a moment ago, that every department in county government is important. You folks that sit on the board aren't going to go out and throw asphalt and on the highways, but we got to have people that do that. We've got to have people that do that, and so I'm praying that some money can be found for these folks in these other areas, specifically tonight for the Board of Elections. Like I said, they can ask, you can go in there and ask them questions, and they can almost quote you that code. That takes some certification. That takes some practice. That takes some time to learn that code. And it troubles me greatly that a judge on a bench can say, oh no, you can put 2018 in there. You don't have to put your date of birth in there. Well, either it's the law or it's the law. If you don't like the law, you got to get the law changed. But I think it's a horrible situation when we have a situation where a judge in the middle of an election can turn something like that over. But these ladies that work in this office, and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen that I don't know about, that work in our elections office, have a big job. And they will do everything they can to keep this county out of litigation. And I certainly hope it doesn't happen in 2020. But Madison County could be targeted, and these folks, Mrs. Dean's office is going to be on the front line. Some of you, all of us here, could be on the front line. Because you know how lawsuits go. They start up the food chain and, you know, to get at the deep pockets allegedly of the county. So I thank you for your time, and I certainly hope that some raises can be forthcoming for these folks, in the Board of Elections office. Thank you.
Is there anybody else? All right, folks. I appreciate everybody attending and at least being interested in caring enough to show up and voice your opinion. That's it. Okay, all I need is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Commissioner Doster. Vote. Yes.
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 Thank you. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to leave you hanging. We're adjourned.